Good evening, everybody. This is Nicole Radke with Dimensional Twist, and we're on episode number 5. And today we're going to talk about alien human hybrids, and I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting conversation. I want to just take a moment and just introduce the show to you, give you a little bit of background about how we came about with this, or how I came about starting the show and the intention of it. I've been having a lot of conversations with my friends and clients and practitioners of various modalities of hypnosis, regression therapy, Reiki practitioners, metaphysical arts teachers, and there's a lot of conversation that goes on behind the scenes, so to speak, personal experiences that people are having, either themselves or that we hear through our clients. And we wanted to open up that platform. We wanted to open up that platform to you and share those experiences with you. So tonight we're going to be joined by a very special guest, my dear friend Wanda Moore. We had her on the first episode that we did, and we ran into some technical issues, and so some of the broadcast was viewable, but some of it not. And so it really gave me an opportunity to bring her back and be able to discuss some of these really interesting conversations that we're having. But a little bit of background about myself. I'm a regressive hypnotherapist. I was practicing hypnosis for several years, practicing regression therapy, and then I found Dolores Cannon, and my life completely changed from there. It was almost like finding the other half to who I was, and I'll be sharing some of her information with you here in a little bit. But what I found was that we truly are multidimensional beings. And some of these words that we throw out there, multidimensional, spiritual activation, ascension, do we really understand what those things mean in our personal lives? So day to day, what does that mean to me for, if I have to get up and clean my house and take care of my family and my job that I do? How do those pieces fit in a practical way for me? And so this is part of what we want to do is just bridging that gap, because we've experienced so many different, I call them adventures in life and body choices. We've had lives, well, some of us have had lives in other places. I don't even want to say different planets, because our idea of the cosmos and the universe is even limited in that way. But the very essence of your soul is infinite, and it's multidimensional, and time and space doesn't exist in the way that we experience it here, although some of that is definitely changing. But people across the planet are waking up to their true nature. They're beginning to realize that the answers that they're looking for, the questions that they have that arise within them, they're not finding those answers outside of themselves. And it's almost like the universe is just forcing you, or your source is just forcing you to start looking inside of you, and if you determine for yourself what's true. Where's my reality? Where does the best version of me come out? And we're very quick to want to only focus on the positive side of things and push the negative away. But we live in a world of duality, and we'll be talking about that a lot more too. But how do all these pieces fit together? I really say, who knows where this crazy ride is going to take us, because every day I just get up and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go with the flow, because I can't plan too far ahead. My idea of what would happen in a year or 2 or even 5 years from now can change tomorrow. And so some of the teachers that are out there, Eckhart Tolle, Dwayne Dwyer, they're all talking about living in the moment. What does that really mean? We have to look in the context of past, present, future. We have to understand the time itself so that we can really figure out, well, what is now to me anyway? But each one of us are waking up to who we really are. I have found through my work, especially with regression therapy, that when we come into this world, there's this veil of forgetfulness that we come in under. And it's not a veil that is out there. It's not something that's in the atmosphere or something that's outside of yourself. It's more like a part of, there's only a portion of your soul aspect that can come into this life, that can occupy this physical body. And the rest of it is what we would call the higher self, or the part of you that extends beyond these physical boundaries that we're always connected to. But we want to take an opportunity to give real people a chance to talk about things that they are passionate about in life. I mean, think about all the people that you know in your life that are just ordinary people going about their business, but there's something that really lights a fire under them. There are things that they genuinely care about. People like helping other people. All this drama and chaos in the world doesn't exist in my reality. It's something that we see on television or something that we see in the news, but in my day-to-day life, those things don't physically affect me. And I think it's really important that we acknowledge that. And so that it doesn't matter whether you're spiritual or religious or atheist or scientific minded, there's something that connects all of us together. And that's the consciousness that we have, and we have a shared consciousness too. And we'll talk about that, especially when I introduce Wanda here. We'll talk about what happens with the shared consciousness. What is it like to experience another person's thoughts, feelings, emotions, and maybe you haven't even realized that this is something that you do on a regular basis. But I've had extensive work with quantum communication. For me, that is being able to communicate with more than just our verbal communication, our speech, or the different languages from our cultures, but it's a communication from the heart. I'm a very practical person, so I love giving you different examples so that you can recognize in your own life where you might have seen some of this. One of the first things that come to mind to me is how we really don't know how to communicate with one another. If you just pause and put some of your thoughts or ideas or beliefs to the side and just observe people, you will notice how much miscommunication happens, arguments or disagreements. Both people might be speaking English, but they're certainly not really communicating what their true intent is or what's really on their heart. And so we have to elevate our communication. We have to find new ways to communicate who we really are. What I love about hypnotherapy, and the more you watch the show, you will come to realize that I don't really like labels, because I think that they, in a way, box things in, and I'm all about doing things, outside of the norm. But hypnosis is just the ability to go into a relaxed state of mind, which means when I'm driving down the highway and I've driven the same road home from work to home every day, and it's almost like It's just happening automatically on autopilot. And I didn't realize the last 2 exits that I passed. That's a state of hypnosis. It's just a relaxed state of awareness where you're not really distracted by your external world, the sounds, the cars driving by, the kids running around, you know, in the background. And you're just focused on what your internal experience is. And there's this amazing thing that happens that once you just turn the volume down to the outside, your inner voice starts coming out. And to me, that's the voice of your soul or the voice of your higher self. And it's very, very subtle. It's like just this soft little voice in the background. And you'll notice it's there, it guides you. But when people enter hypnosis, and with a quantum hypnosis that we do, they're able to access this very deep part of them and bring forward information that have just been mind-blowing. And I wanted to share a couple books with you. The first one was my book, Beyond the Veil. And this follows 14 different individuals, ordinary people who explore their lives under hypnosis, the journey of their soul. And they discover universal information that is helpful to all humanity. So, you know, finding out why they have a problem or a relationship issue, maybe with their children, maybe not stemming from this life, but stemming from another life, finally being able to put those pieces together and understanding what a life is like in another body, in another place, because we can't experience everything that there is to experience in this one lifetime. You can't live in all the places that there is to live. You can't experience all the joys and the wonders and everything that's out there. I would like to, you know, travel, but, you know, we have to have a job, and, you know, you have a home to take care of, and all those things. So we don't have to rush through this life. I guess, you know, that's part of my point there. But they discover universal information, and that's applicable to more than just them. It's things that could help other people too. But then there's this strange information that comes out that a lot of hypnosis practitioners find to be weird. It's not what they expect. You know, suddenly you're speaking to another being that says it's not from this planet. It's from somewhere else. But it's the most loving space that you can be in. And so that's when I found Dolores Cannon, and this book is 3 Waves of Volunteers and the New Earth. And we'll get into the theory behind that here in a little bit. But around the time that we found atomic power and the testing with the atomic bomb, we really caught the attention of other beings out there. Now, you might not believe in extraterrestrials or life elsewhere. For me, I want to say that there's somewhere along the line, there's a meld between what I understand as extraterrestrial alien life and what we would consider angels, master souls. I think those are not one and the same, but they're multidimensional. They're similar. And so Dolores is, I say is because she's on the other side of the veil and she's still teaching us, but she wrote 17 books. Well, I believe maybe now it's 19 books of hundreds and hundreds of sessions that she has done with clients that have experienced lives as other beings, physical and non-physical. And I have found some of the same information in my sessions, people that will regress to being a different life form or being an ET. And it's fascinating because we want to know what that has to do with us, you know, with the human part. It's like, all this information is coming forth, and so what? What does that have to do with me? And that's where I found Meet the Hybrids. And this is a book by Miguel Mendonça, don't know if I'm saying that correctly, and Barbara Lamb. And they interviewed several different people that believe that they are alien human hybrids. And so with that, I want to introduce you to Wanda Moore. And Wanda is a very special friend that I have, my star sister. And she's here with us. She's actually here with me today.
With you.
Yeah. But, you know, Wanda and I have this amazing connection that we'll just know, you know, what the other one's thinking. We'll just message each other at the same time, or we'll have similar experiences and they correlate together. And it's all for guidance. It's all to help you put the pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was thinking about when we were on the forum this week, you know, and this topic began coming up, people started asking about alien ET hybrids and whether they have star connections to the Pleiades, or, you know, I don't want to go into the individual quote unquote species part of it. I want to focus on the traits that hybrids have, and if it's even possible to have something like that. So if you have any questions, then please use the chat box down there on YouTube and let us know, because we would love to hear your opinion, and maybe see if we can find some information too for you. But so, Wanda.
Yes.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? I'm good. It's a good day.
So we went to the UFO conference in Arkansas last year.
Best experience of my lifetime.
That was just amazing.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't know what to expect, but
You go in, I wanted to go in with such an open mind, not knowing much, I just wanted that experience, and oh my goodness. It was just amazing, totally amazing.
So what happened? What blew your mind first?
The wow.
Let's start with when we got there.
Well, so we had the two gentlemen. I think that blew my mind first, or the biggest. There were two gentlemen at our table, remember them?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't even remember their names, but they were just odd little fellows. And we just kind of were conversating a little bit, but it was as if they were just sent there specifically for us, for that moment in time, for a specific reason. And literally, it was kind of a last-minute decision, per se, for them to come.
They didn't even know that there was a conference. They just like passed through Eureka Springs and saw this was going on. And we had this dinner the night before the conference that we decided to attend, you know, with where we got to sit with some of the speakers, and we had Nick Pope at our table, which that was a pretty amazing experience. And then there's these two guys sitting there. And, you know, the more we try to ask information about, you know, where you're from, who you are, they were in a way specific, but they were vague too. And for the life of me, I can't remember their names, but I'll never forget their faces. Exactly. But it's the type of questions that they asked. It was almost as if they just kind of started preparing us for the weekend to come, where there were going to be many different speakers. We got to talk to Linda Moulton Howe from earthfiles.net. We saw a presentation and had the opportunity to talk to Ancient Aliens. I forgot his name.
Oh, yes. Oh, God, I can't remember his name. But that guy.
Anyway, it'll come to me in a minute here. But they had, I think, 8 or 9 different speakers. Amazing. But these 2 guys had no interests in UFOs, but the one guy said that he worked for airline, and the other guy was in the Air Force. So it was just interesting how things started off, because I didn't, I've never had an experience until then. It's all like things that I've read or heard.
So personal.
But that's it. It was personal.
It was, yeah. It started it off for us, I think, and really just brought it together, and just really made it personal for us, and it just totally made it the best experience for me. I just absolutely was full. I just loved the whole thing. Just was amazed by every moment of it.
So when we started listening to the speakers, we didn't really know what to expect, because each person was talking about a different subject. And I honestly can't remember all of the subjects that there were. I know that Whitley Strieber was one that really struck me, because he talked about living in upstate New York and having the experience where they had guests staying overnight, and these beings came into the home, and these beings were, I can't remember all the details, so don't quote me on this. But along with the beings that they saw, that one of the other guests also experienced seeing a friend that had passed over. And for me, that was just like the opening part, where it's like, okay, these 2 worlds merged together, and finally I'm hearing somebody else say that they're not separate, and it piqued my interest. And I think the thing that we talked about a lot was, there were so many different things that we heard that explained our personal experience. So things that happened in our life, and we'll go into that into a lot more detail here in a minute. But it was like validation, right? It's like, okay, one is, we're not crazy. Yes, we're having experiences, and other people are having them too, and they're talking about it. So it's like this big permission slip that we got. It's like, oh, finally you can talk about it.
Yeah, you're not the odd duck anymore. You're in the normal crowd. Yeah. It's kind of it made me feel not the odd one. I felt and that just felt normal for a change.
So what's your concept of hybrid? When you think, when you hear the word hybrid or alien ET human hybrid, what does that mean to you?
Just the melding together of the human aspect and the alien or the angel or the other aspects. And it's that creation. It's the specific creation of who we are. We were specifically created for that purpose or a purpose.
So when we're talking not just in what our beliefs are, like how you think, or maybe the non-physical part, but this incorporates some of the physical aspects too, like the attributes, things that affect your DNA, all that, because to me that, our physical body vehicle that we have is an expression of our soul that we have. So before we get too far down the rabbit hole, because who knows where this thing is going to go, we never know. There's, everything that we think we know about the history of the planet and how we came to be, and I might definitely be stepping on some toes when it comes to the religious or the various different religious view of the planet, of how life started here. The things that we have found under hypnosis tells a very different story. Now, every major culture or religion has some sort of story or mythology that the gods came down from heaven, and intermingled with them or lived with them for a while. I mean, think about the Hopi Indians.
Gods are aliens.
Yeah.
You know?
Eric von Daniken, that was his name, because it was Chariots of the Gods. Okay, so it's like this is something that has been with us through every culture that we've had, but I don't think we really know how that applies to our lives today here. So for me, hybrid means, and this is my personal experience, is as a soul, whatever I am on the other side of this, or whatever I consist of, or my consciousness is, came to this planet. Whew, I'm trying to keep things in order here because you can go down so many different ways. But basically came into this body, decided this is where the time that I can be in, the people I can be with, where maybe I can have the greatest contribution of service to others. So this is where we get into the attributes, you know, because this is our life. I think one of the major things that we find with people that believe that they are some sort of hybrid is they don't fit in.
Mm-mm. No, you don't fit in any category of people per se.
So what if you think like back, you know, about life and growing up, how does that fit into you? Like the not fitting in part.
I don't remember ever, even as back as young as I can remember being 3, never having fit in, ever, in a specific age group, group. I've never had that feeling of belonging or feeling.
Like even within family and stuff like that, you know, it's like, like we're usually the odd ones out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Never.
Or the black sheep of the family.
I
or the
take
weird,
pride in that.
The weird ones.
I take pride in that. Yeah, I don't know that I've ever felt that sense of wholly belonging or feeling a part of completely. You want to, and you try to, and you want that, but I don't know that I've ever internally felt that ever.
So, you know, for me, I just felt like an observer, and I still do for a lot of my life. I feel like, yes, I can participate in things, but through the lens that we look, or through the perspective that we have, it just looks a little different. We don't always understand why people treat each other the way that they do, or can make sense of like the violence or the I mean, just
lack of respect for
respect. Yeah, I would agree with that, because that's the one thing that I have. It's like, I mean, respect is a big thing for me, because to me that means that you care.
Mm-hmm.
Care about myself, I care about other people, and so if I care, I'm going to be respectful. I'm not going to hurt them. You know, and these things shape your personality. So, you know, I think about, you know, you, especially with this, that, you know, I think about you, and it's all love. You know, we just love people to death.
Yeah.
And I know so many people that are like that, where
that's just who we are. And some people look at that sometimes as a negative, but I don't know how to be any different. I don't know how to not be that person. And I know people find that weird, but I don't know how to not be.
So why do you think that is? Why do you think that is such a strong personality trait of a hybrid? Because, and I use that term kind of loosely.
I think it's just so lacking in this world, or in people, that we have to show people what love is, how to feel it again. We've forgotten how to feel it and how to show it, and just how to love. And I think that's what we're here, is just to teach people how to love again and show people. It's pretty awesome.
So where do you think that comes from? Like, I mean, for me, I think like there's this knowing when I say the soul outside of this, and because I've had regressions myself too, where I've experienced myself as other beings, more often experiences as non-human being than the human aspect. Boy, I almost want to go into imprints with that, but well, that's a different show. Imprints and background people. Remember that one.
I will. Different one.
But this particular world that we live in is one of such stark contrast and duality. I mean, think about everything as like either good or bad, you know, positive or negative, you know, good and evil, black and white. There's so many opposites, love versus fear. And it's, I mean, it's everywhere. You can't escape that part. I think that what's really important about hybrids coming in, especially from about the late 1940s, 50s, this is where Dolores Cannon's work is really interesting with the 3 waves of volunteers. There's been more waves since then, is seeing that the direction that the planet was going in and how many times there might have been resets in the past, and this time deciding we don't want to reset it again. So we're going to kind of send the call out there for souls to come and incarnate on this planet to help raise the vibration. But what does that mean? It means to harmonically change, to bring harmony so that we can move forward into a different, maybe dimensional aspect or a different density.
Different density.
They always say dimension, think of it more like density. So it's here to lift up that heaviness, to bring in the light. And because we haven't had as many lives here, we haven't got stuck in karma. You're almost protected from the aspect of karma. And to make people realize you're not stuck under karma anymore. That is a construct, an old paradigm. There's this new paradigm that you don't have to come back and repeat things over and over and over again. But there's this, when I was saying that you come in under the veil, and this veil of forgetfulness, so typically we don't remember our birth experience. We remember from maybe the age of 2 or 3. This is I'm generalizing here. With hybrids, there is this part of their consciousness that is connected and open that is not affected by the veil, and they can hear their inner self or the guidance from their higher self or their angels, their guides, their team of helpers. That's just always activated with them. And so typically they end up being nurses, doctors, teachers. They're all people that are in the professions of service to others.
And we enjoy it.
How do you reconcile, like, because, you know, if you think of that concept of having these other lives out there or this other aspect and that maybe you're not quite native to here, how do you reconcile that with like the personality part? So like multiple aspects of your identity. How do you, maybe the word, it's like, how do you cope with that part? That here you are having a very physical human existence. On the other hand, you're very connected and you're having all these experiences in your dream time, in your meditation. Some people are having physical experiences with going off the planet. This sort of felt in the realm of abductions, although I don't like that word because that's not really what's happening. But it's almost like leading a double life.
Kind of, yeah.
So how do you integrate, like how do you, if somebody were to be listening to this, what do you think would be helpful for them to know?
Knowing that Oh, wow, it's hard even to put that into words. God, Nicole.
It's because it's feeling.
It is. Maybe just being both is okay, and trying to meld both of you together. You don't have to necessarily do that. I just spend a lot of time just existing some days, knowing that, I'm here and I need to be here for that purpose, but I get to go home someday. It's hard to,
Well, yeah, I mean, that is a good point, because
it's hard sometimes to melt that together. And
there's that homesick part to it.
Yeah. And I'm kind of lost in that right now, I think. Kind of wanting to just be that other hybrid part of me. I want to be that alien, kind of winged, happy person. But I know that I have a job to do here and people to help here. And because this is so awesome, but this is pretty awesome too. So bringing it together, yeah, it's hard. You have to, because you have to exist. Sometimes you want to be over here. Yeah, that's a hard one, Nicole. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Well, because I hear so many people, especially with friends that I've made over the years, maybe originally started out as clients, and then we become friends because there's this commonality that we have, because we understand what people are saying and we don't make them feel like they're weird.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, I hear that over and over. It's like, you make me feel normal.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And I think there's a very difficult part mentally, because we have to fit in society, right? It's like you have to do things a certain way. Don't draw too much attention to yourself. But I think the thing that people fall into the trap of is coming in as a soul with so much compassion, so much capacity for love, not being used to the duality or the intensity of the pain and the emotion here.
Mm-hmm.
That they just feel they get lost.
Yeah, sometimes you do get lost in the sadness and the pain.
And so how do you find your way out of that?
I go into nature, Mother Nature. Gotta love Mama. Nature. I mean, the birds and just nature itself just lets me ground and go back to that vibration that makes me peaceful again. For me, that's my happy place, is just sit under a tree, because it has its own wonderful vibration, and the birds and the water just kind of brings me back up to where I need to be. So for me, yeah, it's nature. It's nature, plants.
So that leads me to the question of abilities and abilities that hybrids have.
Yeah, a little different.
Tell me about those.
A little different.
In what way?
Well, we have so many different abilities per se. For me, I feel the energy off of different things. Everything has an energy. I won't say physical, but you can feel the energy. Everything has a different energy. We sometimes have different gifts. We talk to people that have passed over, and we can sometimes I can touch things and know the history of that, or pick up different things from that. We're just a little odd, a little different senses.
Yeah. I think that's where what I do with helping people kind of find where they fall into that spectrum of your senses that open up. Because for me, that ability falls into what I originally thought, or I was told, was mediumship. Mm-hmm. And I do a lot of mediumship, but realizing that it's this ability that we have to connect on a telepathic level. Mm-hmm. to be able to remote view. So all these crazy visualizations that people think that they're having.
Connecting to your brain sometimes is interesting.
The visualizations that we have, you might think that you're having like crazy dreams or intense visualizations, but for me, that's remote viewing. That's being able to see with a deeper sense of seeing and hearing with a deeper sense of hearing. And I'll never forget, I had this dream because for me, I feel I'm connected a lot to the grays. So when we talk about, man, I wish I had a better word for abduction experiences because it's not that. But when we encounter these visits, when we have visitations, a lot of times those things happen in our dream state. And if you've had a negative experience or a bad experience, you have to know that, well, nothing happens to you without your agreement. You might not just remember it. And so you can change that. You can say, hey, look, I don't like the way that this is happening. I don't want that agreement anymore. But for me, that's family. To me, that's closer family than this. So they're just checking up on us. And because we have this emotional intensity as in the human existence, other beings don't have that similar experience. So it might seem as if they don't care, or maybe there's not that emotional involvement in it. You just go about your business kind of thing. So we have to remember that humans have an intense emotional attachment to everything. But I'll never forget, I had this dream where I asked before I went to sleep, I want to have a personal physical experience visitation. And even though I work with you so often, and I can connect through my meditations, my visualizations and things very easily, I want that physical part too, because I need to know that it's real, that it's not just all in here, even though I've, sit here day in and day out, session after session. And so I just said, okay, you can come in my dreams, but don't scare me and don't startle me.
Don't touch me.
No, you can do whatever, but just, I don't want to be scared, because I know even though this is a very familiar topic to me, if right now there's a being that just appears here, well, it'll probably freak me out a little bit, because we don't see this in our everyday waking reality. So I went to sleep, and I remember I was in the dream, I was on your farm, standing, looking at the cornfield, which is a little bit like, children of the corn.
Yes.
And out of the cornfield walks this tall gray ET being, which we have a name. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll call him Paul. Anyway, he walks out in the dream, and he's wearing the most ridiculous Hawaiian shirt with flowers and a straw hat. And I just remember looking at this scene and thinking, great disguise, dude. And that was the end of the dream. But it made me realize when I woke up, look, we get exactly what we ask for.
Yeah, you did.
And so there's nothing to be afraid of, because I never felt afraid with any of it. And another one that I had was down here, again, setting an intent. You can come in my dreams, because I know that's where I'm the most receptive. And I don't have to have fear. That's why we have negative experiences, because we have this fear attached to it. And I was down here in our living room at the time, and I remember my husband standing next to me in the dream, and I said, they're on their way. And he says, no, they're here already. And I look over, and there's a gray being standing next to me. And I go out to like shake his hand, to like, say hi, welcome him. And he's like, no, that's not how we do it. And he showed me his heart. And just like E.T. in the movie where the heart lights up, he's like, this is how we do it. It's a heart-to-heart connection. But there were no words. It was all telepathic. And so having these experiences in my dreams, one, took away any residual fear that I might have had. And it also opened me up to new ways of communication where it's on my terms. But I don't want to hog all the time, but you know, I think as
our thoughts are so similar. It's like, no, that's what she said. No.
we can just sit here and be quiet, you know, just go back and forth.
So. Paul, though, Paul has always been kind of a sidekick for me, and he was kind of he's my entertainment at home when I'm working on the computer.
So tell them who Paul is, first of all.
Paul is just kind of like I would maybe call him a guide, but not really. He's just my entertainment. Go alien.
Looks like Paul from the movie Paul.
From the movie Paul.
Same personality.
Yeah. He's just kind of a funny little dude. And he will just blip in, blip out just because he's funny, he thinks. But he's just my entertainment. He's just my friend. For lack of a better word, he's my friend. But trying to describe him, I really never had to describe him to Nicole, and she knew exactly what he looked like and what his personality was. And so when I say she knows what's in my head,
because I saw him in your car.
Exactly, she saw him in my car beside me. She's like, "Oh, he's in there." It's like, "Oh man!" But literally, Paul is that alien you want to be your friend and you want to show up because he's just funny. He's just, to me, that's what I want to go home to, is that kind of friendship, that family, that kind of sister brother kind of thing. That to me is what I perceive him.
So when you say that he's kind of your entertainment, do you think that he kind of helps lift the mood for stuff like when things get heavy or, you know, life gets serious, to remind you that there's another side to you?
Yeah, I think so. And I never really thought about it like that. And now you're gonna make me cry. So stop. I think so. It's to remind me I'm not alone. I'm really not as alone as I feel sometimes. And as alien as we feel in our own little world, we're not. We're just not. We're all each different, but they're bringing us here and making us all different to experience this different, to take it back, to make it better for the next. You know, we're here and we're going to keep making this better.
So do you feel like you have like a mission in life? Like, when did you pick your mission, or who gave you your mission?
I think it was always here. I think I was brought, I wasn't born into it per se. I think I was probably 2 or 3 when we exchanged. And I was just, I'm here to learn and to teach. And then when my job's over, I get to go back home and take what I've learned, share. And I just think that's my job and my mission. I just think that I was brought into this existence for that.
So earlier, when I asked you about abilities, you know, we talked about some of the senses abilities, and then, because I have a plan of where I'm going here.
I'll follow.
You know, there's so much on the planet that needs healing, or that need restoration.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that word was just a gift right now. Because the word healing sometimes bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Because we as humans have an idea of what healing is, that everything's going to be perfect, everything's going to be fine, all my problems are going to go away.
Restoring.
And it's restoration. It's restoring us to the original essence of our being. Oh, I love that. I never said it like that before. But there's a restoration. You just reset. You just come back to center, back to who you are, your true nature, and then whatever body I occupy or whatever vehicle I occupy. But you know, healing is a lot of hybrids have the ability to heal or to restore.
I'm learning a lot about that aspect of me, and learning I have more ability in that area than I ever thought I did. And as I'm going on, it's just amazing what I'm learning about myself and what what they help. I don't know how to explain it. What they
You
help
mean
me to do.
you mean they like your helpers, your team, or your
Yeah. I don't want to say necessarily my guides, but my guides, the aliens, or everybody. That's just that your whole team is helping you do what it is you're supposed to be doing, and they are there helping you, showing you what to do, and helping the two merge and do what it is that you're supposed to be doing.
So when we speak in terms of healing, what is that like? What is your experience with that? Like, as far as restoration, let's just rephrase that. So, whether you're actually working on somebody physically, what's that like? What's your process like?
It has changed. It's ever evolving. I think that the most interesting aspect of what I do now is, once I kind of get permission from that inner essence, I'm very hands-on when I work, and I've learned I do better with that, and I can adjust more that way. But I jokingly say I just kind of go elbows deep into people. I just kind of meld into them, and I can kind of look around that way, and
so
just
I
do
mean,
some adjustment.
and when you say look around, I mean you're like seeing inside of the person, just on the physical, more than the physical.
A little physical, mental. It's so hard to explain. You just get their whole essence. You just kind of get that whole picture in your mind, and you feel it's the whole thing, the feeling, the seeing.
So if somebody has like some kind of like physical ailment, or something's going on in their life where they're not in the best of health, when you go in to their being, body, mind, spirit, what do you typically find? What do you see is either out of balance, or how does that appear to you?
It's different colors. Usually it's a darker black, or it's been known to be a bright blue. Just, it depends on the issue, I guess, the health issue. But generally it's just a darker black, and I just know innately where it's at. I don't know how to explain it other than that. It has a different energy feel, I guess, is a different way to put that.
So you can kind of feel the difference between where, because I recognize that too when I started practicing and teaching Reiki. I remember having a lady on the table one time, and I was trying to do everything by the book, like hand positions, and it felt very awkward. I'm like, I don't think this is working. And I just remember having this visual. Once I just said, okay, well, just, I'm just going to do it my own way. Having this visual where it's like this lady just took a zipper and she just unzipped that just unzipped this, I call it the skin suit, hung it on the wall, and underneath was this brilliant light body. And it's like, oh, what is that? Like, to me, that's how I see, the soul or the essence of who we are. And so what hybrids have is the ability, because they have these other activated senses that they have coming into this body, they can see where things are out of balance or not in harmony, or where you have shut down life force. And this is where I see the dark areas in the body, is I can see the dark spots, and that's like where it's just like stale. It's like nothing is moving.
I love your words. You just put them in my head.
It's just, that's where there's like life is just void of that area. And very often, well, almost all the time, there's emotion attached to that. So, hybrids have the ability to see the bigger picture and to create a bridge for people. This is why they're teachers, or why they're in helping professions. because they can see where the problem is. They can also see the solution, but you need to fix it yourself, right? It's like we can only give the advice, we can only open up the pathway, and then you have to take the steps to do those things. So, you know, it's
just innately normal to do what we do, and I guess I don't think of it as different. I guess it's always been a part of who I am, and I'm just learning not everybody does it, or not everybody else can do it. We are just a little different.
But I think that's part of why we're here, is to show, like, look, there's a different way of doing things. And we have to learn or remember how to heal ourselves in our own lives before we can do anything for anybody else. And it's something that happens kind of on a tandem level. And I'm sure you can go through any of these experiences and not have some kind of like mental, physical, spiritual growth. You're just going to want to become healthier, happier, not involved in the drama of things.
It's amazing that you just said that. So true that we ourselves are evolving so differently. It's just an amazing ride that we are evolving in a whole different world at a whole different rate. It just, comparative to a year ago, whole different world, whole different.
In what way? Like, what have you noticed? Because that's talking about earth changes and stuff too.
You do extricate yourself more from the drama, and you are a whole different person. I look at things in a different light of, not the negative connotation, they're having a bad day, but here's your positive. I'm that positive for them, or it doesn't always, there doesn't always have to be so much negativity, and you don't have to be involved in all that. You don't have to participate. I always thought I had to participate. I don't have to participate. I can sit on the skirts of and just watch and choose to be my own person, follow my own path, love you, but I don't have to participate in that anymore.
Yeah. I think that's when this idea between caretaking and caring, I recently heard that. I'm like, man, I love the way that sounds, because we're all fixers. We want to fix everything, and you can't.
No, but
the only thing you can do is fix yourself. I know. So realizing the difference between care and caretaking is that, we're here to hold the space for people, and the only thing that you can do is love. You can only love a person that is in pain, and they're angry and frustrated, and all these personality traits that they've cultivated for the last 40 years of just imbalance and more anger and more pain. You have to recognize that, and you have to love that part and realize, well, that's the missing piece. And so if I'm going to be involved in the drama, then I'm just adding, perpetuating the pain part. Where that's not why I came here. My mission, my role is, as you said too, is to show, to transform through love. And this is not the cheesy love, or the puppy love, or physical attraction love. This is
deep, feeling, knowing love. I love you in spite of. People just are confused.
But that's probably been the biggest transformation for me, is kind of giving myself the permission to, look, I can step back. I don't have to be involved in it, because my role is to hold this space of love so that you can elevate yourself, in that.
You've loved yourself now. You're learning to love yourself. And it's okay.
But So there's definitely these traits that people have. If you're wondering if you're a hybrid, you probably are. Besides the fact that our DNA is made up of so many different parts and aspects, that we're all from the stars. You know, this goes back to the different cultures and religions with, you know, star beings. It doesn't matter what religion you are, you have some concept of life in the heavens. But there's been part of us that have just been stuck on this karmic hamster wheel. You know, perpetuating, and we want to have fairness and equality, and you know, you brought up a good point of kind of being neutral. You can't pick sides.
No,
because then you're playing into the duality of it.
That's hard. It's hard sometimes, but I think that is one thing I've been learning. Maybe this last 6 months is just to try just to stay just in the center. Don't even get involved. And it's hard. That's probably the hardest thing, because you want to pick a side, because you want to feel like I'm right here, but really it's not your battle. Though sometimes I want it to be. It's not really, because we can't fix somebody else's thing. They have to choose to fix it. But I want to fix it. I want to fix everybody's everything. But I'm learning I can't. It is their job.
Yeah.
Not mine. Boy, that's a hard one too.
So when did you find out that, or when did you realize things are not what you thought they were?
As in, like, as a person, I would say I've always known, but probably really more so in the last, I'm going to say in the last 7 to 10 years. Probably in the last 5 more so than anything. I think as I've gotten older, you're just able to sit and take more time, think a little harder, look a little deeper, and take more time for yourself, and really go, who am I? Who am I really? And for me, Barbara Lamb's book and just that part of the whole thing made me realize, wow, this is awesome. And when I did the regression with you, going back to that pre-Atlantean time and knowing that I was created, and that whole experience, let me be okay with the fact that I know that I'm not just a human. I am several different aspects of a person, an alien, and this and that and that. That's not so abnormal after all. You know, it just, as we get older, we just have more time to be introspective and just want to learn who we really, really are. Not just knowing we're different, but just learn who we really are. That's been awesome. It's been awesome. I like me. And I can't say that I've always been able to say that. I like all of me, but I like all the aspects of who I am now. And I'm a really fun, different whole bunch of people in here. You know, so it's just been kind of a pretty cool learning experience of figuring out who I am, or where I came from, or what I am. Okay.
That's awesome. You know, I've heard so many different stories of people having experiences under regression where, because we even think of linear, like you said, like that lifetime there, but I've had people regress to this and find this other aspect of their being. Let's call it their ET self, where it's almost like a life within a life, which that's a different concept too, and we can talk about that all day. I mean, there's so many different things when you think about hybrids that you can go down the rabbit hole and talk about, you know, what species and who you can connect to and star seeds. But essentially it's what are you here to do and how can you make a difference? And are you living up to your true potential? And so you're going to have certain personality traits that set you apart from other people. You're going to have certain abilities, things that you're good at. Artists that have the ability to tap into a completely different realm of thinking and bring that information here and create something that we can just look at and be inspired by. Hybrids are not something that's just, one in a million. There are many, many, many. The other thing that I like about Dolores's work too, that over 45 years that she worked with regression therapy and ETs, is that it's not what we think it is, like, or what we've been told, like this whole like takeover theory, or there's all these. She never had one bad experience with ET contact. In all the years that I've done this, I've never had a negative experience or a bad experience. I don't know if that's just because that's the realm that I work in, but we've always been able to find like the truth behind that. And typically there's some kind of like fear, like we don't understand something. And so the human brain just interprets that in a fearful way because that's self-protection. But I don't believe in this takeover theory.
I don't either. It's just, it doesn't feel that that's their whole point or their whole theory. They're here to help us. They help us to keep us from killing ourselves. They're here to help us help ourselves. In my heart, I think.
Yeah, I think what people see as things that they typically attribute to like reptilians or that, because they're usually made out to be the bad ones, right? But like, I mean, look at human beings. They're good humans and then they're bad humans. So with anything out there, I expect that there'll be some aspect of that.
Yeah.
But I would like to think that they're way more evolved than we are. For me, the grays are us from the future. I think that's what humanity is evolving to. Well, then, how does time fit into all of that? So that's why I say this is family. This is us. So what came first, the chicken or the egg? But we're the ones that are the harmful ones, that don't take care of the planet or don't take care of ourselves, because we've been here so long. And I say we, general population, that we've forgotten who we really are. This is a very, very unique place to live.
Oh boy, is it.
Have you, I don't know if I've ever asked you this question. Have you ever had like any recall of like living on a different planet?
I have only ever been given one slight little vision of a planet I'm from. Was a red planet, but it had been destroyed. And that's the only thing I ever recall. And I've asked them, and it's like, they've told me I just don't need to know that aspect or see that aspect. And I guess I annoyed them enough that it's like, it's destroyed. You're never going to get to go to that home, but they will take me back to another place.
Was there any kind of like emotional attachment to that?
It wasn't as emotional as I thought it would be. I get more emotional looking at the stars. Literally makes me tearful. So I find that so strange. When I went outside and was just looking at the stars, and literally they just come down, and I literally just felt like a baby. I just got so homesick in that moment. I just wanted to go home. And knowing that I couldn't, that dumbfounded me for weeks on end. Just couldn't understand that whole feeling in that whole moment. But it also started me on a whole different trek, which was awesome. So everything has just led me into the next thing and the next thing, and it just amazes me every day, every day. You know, living where I live, you know, you guys came out and we did some watching one night. I have lived in that place for 12 years and never knew so much went on in the sky above me.
Just look up.
Oh my God. You know, and
you could see the entire Milky Way.
Yeah, never knew that was there. We don't take time. And to take that time, wow, it hits you how beautiful the world is and how we forget where we come from and what's around us. And I'm still amazed. I didn't know that was there. And how every planet that's around us and where we're located in that helps me to understand why it's so busy where I live. I don't know how to explain that galactically or aliens per se. It's very busy where I'm at, where I live. In and out. I don't know how to explain that.
Well, to me, it feels like there's some kind of like portal or something, like some access, like, you know, for me, I see you as kind of like a guardian of the place where you live.
Yeah.
But
the biggest, coolest ship was over the top of us that one
That's
night.
what I was going to ask you, about we were off doing something else. Yes. You had this really cool experience.
I had the night vision goggles on, just kind of watching the sky, checking stuff out. Biggest, coolest triangle ship ever. And all I could do was stand there and watch it go across. And I kept thinking, I should holler at them. Nope, can't. And I kept, in my head, having the conversation, do I need to holler at them? And they're like, no, snooze, you lose. And that, to me, forever causes me to giggle because they're telling me, no, you snooze, you lose. They went over there. But it was so big. How could you not see that? But okay, it's dark. I get that. How many ships have flown over my head and I never knew that? I mean, it had to be absolutely huge because with the night vision goggles on, it was humongous. To me, wow. It just was amazing to me. And then it disappeared.
Yeah.
Things don't disappear.
You also said that you part of that experience was hearing that was a personal experience for you too. So, sometimes we experience things and it's not for other people.
But I wanted it to be for everybody. I wanted everybody to see that it was that awesome. Isn't that awful? You just want to share it so much. But it was nice that it was for me, but it was like, oh my God. And then my alien sign that you never saw on our way home from our trip.
I did not see this. Okay, so coming full circle.
Sorry,
because
got lost in the
it felt like we just kind of skimmed over the top, and we're like almost an hour and 20 minutes into this. So we're definitely going to have to do, part 3, 4, and 5 up to 6. Who knows? When we came back from our trip from Arkansas, very close to home, I think it was probably when we crossed the county line, you said that there was one of these electronic billboards next to the side of the road. And that you saw, well, you tell your part first.
So yeah, we were driving home and I'm looking over at Nicole talking, and there's the billboard on the side of the road with an alien face. I looked at the sign and I looked at her and I was like, did you see that? She's like, what? The sign with the alien face.
There was no sign.
There was the sign. I swear to God, there was the sign. That was the coolest thing ever.
But this is the cool thing, that once you start just kind of exploring a little bit, you'll realize that we're experiencing things in our own reality. I might see something and you might not.
Yeah.
There's this aspect of where if you were to have a visitation or something, it could be driving down the highway and you don't even skip a beat. You don't even skip a second. It's like time just stops and time opens up and there's this whole other experience that you're having, and then you come back.
Which is probably very much what it was, but yeah, That was just the absolute coolest thing. She's like, no, no sign. Yes, there was. It's, yeah, it's just amazing the things that I have seen and noticed and gone through and experienced just since having met you. I mean, this is just coming so full circle.
Oh, I think we have a cat visitor.
Oh,
My little alien kitty, Loki.
this has been just an amazing life experience for me, and it just makes me feel that I'm doing what I need to do. There has been so much synchronicity in my week. If I get any more repeating numbers this week, I'm gonna just fall out of my chair. And literally, just so much synchronicity, and it just shows me that I am on the right path, and I'm doing the things that I need to do, and they just keep pushing me along. And because we doubt ourselves and our purpose, and if we're doing the right things, and that kind of stuff, and it just, even this kind of keeps me where I need to be and puts me back on the right path.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking about that today. Just kind of just reflecting back on life, and when I was younger, thinking about, I never kind of doubted that there's life out there, and it's just something that I always just I it's not that I even needed to accept it. It was just part of my knowing. I didn't understand that other people could not think that there's any life out there besides the size of the cosmos and all that, but it always felt familiar to me, and it was never scary, and it made me excited. It's like, I'm interested in the stars, and I'm interested in the space program, and this, as kids, how many kids wanted to be astronauts? There's a reason for those things, because there's something in us that feels that sensation, that pull that's up there.
And I just have to interrupt you, because if they don't get out of my head, the mantises need to know that they need everybody to know that they're friendly and that they're out there for a purpose. They won't get out of my head. I just have to say it. I'm sorry.
No, you have them all over your property.
They drive me insane, but I'm learning to be friends. And they won't get out of my head till I actually just needed to say that. I don't know why it's important that they needed to say that. I don't know. I'm learning to get along.
Yeah.
They scare me.
Well, I guess that's kind of where my thoughts were, because I was trying to think of, how to wrap it all back together. And the whole point of having different hybrids, having lives as humans, and having all the different attributes and all the different qualities of communication and consciousness and healing ability and artistic ability, and it's all about creation, right? We all play a part in creating in our everyday life, and it's learning. Yeah, that's the nature part too. Learning how to do that as a cohesive whole, like cooperation, how to do it together.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Because if we don't learn how to work together, if we can't work together in our relationships, this is your day you had today.
That's why they're in my head. Thank you. Okay.
If you can't get along with your coworkers, if you can't get along with your family, if you can't get along with
oh my goodness.
Think about the things that really kind of grate your insides, the troubled relationships. That's the whole reason you're having it.
God, give the mantis a plant now.
is to learn it's not about this one consciousness or ascension into a single consciousness. I don't agree with that. Essentially, for me, it's wholeness. It's all of these pieces coming together and working together in unison. Like, that's wholeness. So I need to call all parts of me home. I need to be able to look at each of my relationships and each situation that I'm in, and find the middle ground. I need to compromise.
Yeah. I love that.
So, a little bit of a personal message there.
Yeah, it was.
Because we want to fight those things. That's where the resistance is.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're here. is to show, look, if you can learn to get along with one another, how are you ever going to fit into any kind of idea of think of even if we have space travel that's open to the general populace.
And that's what they're doing, is they're keeping
it's preparation.
Yeah.
Because you have to learn how to get along with yourself, inside of yourself first, start finding yourself, then cooperate in your relationships. Then you can think about cooperating interspecies, animals, the relationship between us and nature. Then you can extend to life elsewhere. I mean, that's the whole evolution thing. It's not, just the little tadpole crawling out of the primordial soup. It's cooperation. It's communication.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I wanted to share these books with everybody.
Awesome.
My book. I'm plugging that again.
Read it. It's awesome. Just saying.
And it takes a while to read because there's energy with it. That's what I find with Dolores's books too. Sometimes I can only read a couple pages, and then you read it 4 or 5 times. Yeah, pull other stuff out of it. Meet the Hybrids is a fantastic book because it's the first thing that I read that's like, okay, this is another personal experience that I can relate to. It doesn't talk about the DNA or the technology or any of that. This is personal experience. What is a life like? This is why we write the books that we do and do the work that we do, because as people are waking up to who they are, they want to know, what is a life like as a gray, or as a mantis, or as a reptilian, or as a blue energy being, which is part of what I've seen myself as. It's mind-blowing.
It is.
And to hear people say, oh my gosh, it's like I found like a missing part of me, and I don't have to wonder anymore. Like, I don't think there's anything greater than that. Life's just good.
Life is
it's
wonderful.
Good.
We just forget it sometimes.
So if you have any message for anybody out there about being a hybrid, or wondering if it's a possibility, any final message that you have for them?
I think what you said earlier, if you're wondering, yeah, you probably are. And it's okay to be different. Just be who you are, and what you innately feel that you should be doing, do it. Everyone always used to say, your touch feels so good. And I never really understood that. And now I get it. But just love who you are. Hybrid, whoever it is that you are, but we're not as abnormal as we think we are. We're pretty awesome people. Enjoy who you are.
I like that. That's a good one. Boy, I lost my train of thought there because I was thinking of something that I wanted to add to what you said, but see, they remind me. If you're wondering about whether you're starseed or hybrid, like what some of your origins are, you don't have to go through a complicated method to find it. You simply have to just ask. Just ask, and it will come to you. Either you will know it, or you'll do a search on the internet and it'll come up. You'll resonate. You'll just know, this looks like me. This describes who I am. And there's many good sites out there.
That last one you just posted probably was the best one I've seen.
I think that was Galactic. I can't remember. I'll have to share the link again.
Oh, that was good.
We have cats all over now. This is what happens when we start talking about aliens and ETs. We start having
my cat
cats
into a big protector. So
see, he's laying right on the table right here. Oh,
he's like,
yeah, that's what they do. But I wanted to give people just a little bit of an introduction and just touch on the concept, and that it's not something, some weird, strange thing that you can have somebody take over your mind or come and take over the world. That
just another aspect.
Yeah, and hybrids are here to help us transform ourselves and to bring love, to bring more compassion. And I have another cat over here. And don't be afraid of it, because there's nothing but love. And that you can change any agreement that you have. If you've had experiences that have scared you or that you're just not comfortable with, just ask your team of helpers to help you understand what's been happening to you. Get in touch with a quantum healing practitioner. They can definitely help you get to the bottom of what really happened, put it into perspective. If this was your first time listening, then I want to thank you for joining us. And if you're watching live on YouTube, we'll watch the comments after the show too, so we'll be able to answer those for you. And we do love connecting with you. So I think that's the show. Thanks for listening to Dimensional Twist, and we'll be live here next Friday on my YouTube channel. And I think we're going to have Kelly Diane, she's a medium, and we've worked together for a long time. So if everything goes well, we'll have her on and maybe do some live readings too. But we try to bring, you know, different topics and different subjects. Things about earth shifts and weather changing. Last week we talked about Ayurvedic diet. We'll talk about energies, energy healing, paranormal experiences that people have had, all kinds of things. So if you like what you've just heard, please share either on your social media or with your friends, or subscribe to our channel. We would definitely appreciate your support. And for more information about myself, you can go to naturalpathways.co. And again, I'm Nicole Radke. I am a quantum healing practitioner, trans-channel medium, and an intuitive medical medium. And I do classes, private sessions, so definitely connect with me. I love to talk to people. And join us next time for another great show. Thanks. Bye. So make sure that's done.